Hey you and welcome. My name is Mike, and in this old video we're gonna have a little chinwag about the Chillicothe 6. Though there's certainly more than 6. In the small city of Chillicothe, Ohio, in 2014 and 2015 multiple women disappeared. Some were found, others not so much. Why and who could be responsible for this remains unknown, though it could be linked to a certain fella with a shady history, named Neal Falls. That's just one of the things we're going to look at in this old case, which is shrouded in mystery. So, without further ado, let's do. Chillicothe, southern Ohio, in the foothills of the Appalachians, has a population of roughly 21,000 people. It's about an hour's drive south of state capital Columbus and is surrounded by farming communities, a rural enough area, lots of dirt roads, ways to remain unseen. The story of the many missing women began on May 20th, 2014, when 30-year-old mother of three, Tamika Lynch, was reported missing by her husband, who hadn't seen her for over 2 weeks. Now, her husband reported her missing, but the police didn't. She wasn't entered into the missing persons database, because the police said, they didn't think there was any danger to her life. They didn't think she was in danger. She was found 2 days later.
Bob, Tamika's family put these flyers up from Pike County to Columbus, hoping she would come home. But just hours ago, they got heartbreaking news from detectives.
Her body was found wearing only socks in a creek by kayakers. The autopsy found she overdosed on cocaine, amphetamines, and alcohol. However, her death is believed to be suspicious, and it's thought she was dead when she was placed in the water. 27-year-old Charlotte Trigo also disappeared that month. She was last seen in Chillicothe on the 3rd of May. Walking on foot after her roommate evicted her. She's never been found. She was friends with Tamika, who went missing that same day.
I don't want to do anything. I'll just stay at home by the phone just in case.
Next was 37-year-old Wanda Lemons, who was last seen on November 3rd, 2014. A friend stated he saw Wanda on the day of her disappearance, and that he'd heard she'd gone to Texas with a truck driver. Now, she very well may have, but she never contacted her family ever again. She never contacted her daughter ever again. In December of that same year, 20-year-old Shasta Himmelrich, who was pregnant, was reported missing. Shasta was last seen by her family on Christmas Day 2014. The following morning, her car was found abandoned. She was last seen at a gas station in Chillicothe. Where she went after that is unknown. She was found 8 days later, drowned. Her death ruled a suicide, something the family disputes, even though there are a few signs pointing toward it. She had oxycodone and cocaine in her system at the time of her death, but not enough to kill her, and her struggle to kick drugs was well known by her family. The coroner saw no sign of struggle on her body, though she did have self-harm cuts on her arm, and blood and a razor were found in her car. And Shasta had an unsent text message on her phone apologizing to her boyfriend. So all of which would point towards suicide, but as I said, her family disputes it. They say she would never enter the water by herself, and she was pregnant at the time and very excited about it. She would let, everybody know. She was so happy. So,
investigators have identified the remains as 26-year-old Tiffany Sayre. She's been missing from Chillicothe since May 11th. Her body was found in a creek bed in Highland County Saturday. The coroner there has not released the cause of death. Investigators say Sayre is now the 4th woman from the Chillicothe area who's been found dead since last May. Another death was ruled a homicide, a third death ruled a suspicious overdose, and another one was ruled a suicide. Investigators say they still aren't sure if the cases are related, and right now 2 other women are still missing.
In May 2015, Tiffany Sayer, 26 years old, mother of 2, was reported missing. She was headed to the Chillicothe Inn at the time of her disappearance. She was found dead the next month, her body wrapped in a sheet. Reportedly, there were no visible injuries to her body, though she had drugs and alcohol in her system. The coroner ruled it a homicide. Also in May 2015, 38-year-old Timberly Clater was found shot to death, her body left in the weeds. In October 2015, 31-year-old Rebecca Cade was found bludgeoned to death, hanging from a fence. Her sleeve had become caught while trying to escape her attacker. When she was first found, she was mistaken for a Halloween decoration, until a bloody rock and personal items were found nearby. A man was arrested and charged with Rebecca's murder, 27-year-old Donnie Coconero Jr. However, when it came to trial, he would ultimately be acquitted. Other women thought to be connected to the Chillicothe deaths and disappearances are 28-year-old Jamie Bowen, missing from Columbus, Ohio, 31-year-old Holly Logan, missing from Columbus, Ohio, and 25-year-old Megan Lancaster, missing from Wheelersburg. Yeah, you guessed it, Ohio. All the women had places and people in common, and all were involved with drugs. A lot of cases of dead and missing women. Startling, to be sure.
We're looking for any evidence of interconnection between the missing and deceased women. There's no red flag at this point that says this is connected to them, but we can't say for sure that it's not, and you've got to look at that. If you're asking for what we can say to the community is, listen, the best thing I can tell anyone is not that you should be fearful of this community, but don't be out in the wee hours of the morning unless you have a legitimate place to go, and don't put yourself at risk. That's what I would tell the community.
Entire town on edge. Several women go missing. Some of them later found dead. Now the FBI is asking if there's a killer behind all of their deaths.
Authorities have released new flyers seeking any information on the whereabouts of 2 Ohio women. Now they're also looking for any information on the deaths of 4 other women in Chillicothe. Residents fear a serial killer might be on the loose. Meanwhile, the FBI has been called in to investigate.
What's happening to these Chillicothe women, and is there a serial killer on the loose?
A task force was set up. The Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigations, the FBI, and Homeland Security were all involved, and rumors of a serial killer began to surface. The authorities and investigators have always been extremely tight-lipped on these cases, and whether they're really linked. But the authorities have said all the women knew each other, all had at some point battled drug addiction, some were sex workers. Now, you can imagine how that would hamper the investigation, because when some of the missing and murdered women are sex workers, what investigation? Now, a man was arrested in connection with the death of one of the women. 37-year-old Jason McCrary was charged with the death of Timberly Clater, who was shot 3 times in the head. He'd also failed to register his address as a sex offender. His car was found with blood evidence inside, though whether he is linked to any of the other women remains unknown. During his trial, he claimed another man had burned the body of Charlotte Trigo, though when followed up on, no body was found where it was supposed to have happened. Another man thought to, may have some knowledge on the cases of the missing and murdered women, thought to, know something. He was somebody the police were sought after, and his name was Ernest Dollar Bill Moore. Dollar Bill, really? That's all? He knew each of the women, had past arrests for drug possession and drug trafficking, and was accused of committing, quote, pure torture against the Chillicothe man in July 2015. Apparently, he punched, kicked, assaulted with a broom, possibly raped with a broom, burned with lighter fluid, silverware heated from the stove, and boiling water. Yikes. A nationwide warrant was issued for his arrest, and he turned himself in September 2015. Dollar Bill Moore never revealed any information about the missing and murdered women. or at least, hasn't to date. Jason McCrary had tried to implicate him in the death of Timberly Clater, which is why he was sought after, and also, the kidnapping, torture business, nasty stuff. And so, probably another dead end in the case. So we got some arrests, though only one woman's case is actually solved. So what the hell is going on? Well, we don't really know. The investigators have always been extremely tight-lipped about the cases, whether there's links between them and what's really going on. I mean, there could be more women who have been missing and murdered who could be linked, the police just haven't said. In fact, all information regarding this has pretty much stopped since 2015. I mean, it's hard to say if they are related, kind of, if you squint, because all women knew each other, all engaged in the same social circles, all had battled drugs, some of them were sex workers, so, them being unrelated. And remember, this happened in Chillicothe, a town of, just over 20,000 people. Not a big place. So this many, cases to happen in that small an area is worrying. So that brings us to an actual serial killer. Now the police have said there's no direct connection, there's no direct link, between him and the Chillicothe women, but the police have publicly said they are investigating. His name was Neal Falls, and he was from Springfield, Oregon. Neal had rented a room in Henderson, Nevada, from 2000 until 2008. During that time, 4 prostitutes went missing. Lindsay Harris, Misty Sains, Jody Brewer, and Jessica Foster. The dismembered bodies of 3 were found along highways. Jessica Foster remains missing. Now, not much is known about Neal Falls' life. Like, seriously, these are some of the only pictures I could find of him. He was born in 1969 in Oregon, the baby in a family of 10 children. Apparently, his upbringing was pretty rough. His dad was abusive to the family. He travelled a lot and had worked all over the country. And things seem to have come to a head in January 2015, when his mother died. And at that same time, a woman he was dating revealed to him she was married. While living in Henderson, he worked at the Hoover Dam. Apparently, he just had a grand old time in torturing animals. And he also had to be kept away from the public due to a poor demeanour. He would regularly get up for work 3 hours early and drive off to Arizona. His coworkers at the time joking he was dumping bodies. Though that doesn't seem very funny anymore. He was eventually fired from the Hoover Dam for sexual harassment. As I said, it's pretty hard to find information about Neal Falls, but his phone number was linked to a Facebook page that was under the name BJ Ross, where he posed as a woman. And it was just a bit weird, the shit he would post. I mean, let's be fair, it's not surprising he turned out to be a serial killer. Now, I refer to him in the past tense, because he is dead. Killed by a sex worker when he tried to kill her. Yeah. In July 2015, right in Charleston, West Virginia, Mountain Mama, Neal Falls rocked up to the house of a woman named Heather, a sex worker he had met online. When she opened the door, he apparently asked, "Live or die?" before he attacked her, beating and choking her. She managed to grab his handgun and shot him dead.
When he strangled me, he just wouldn't let me get any air, and so I grabbed my rake, and when he laid the gun down to get the rake out of my hands, I shot him. I just grabbed the gun and shot behind me.
Inside his car, the police found axes, a shovel, handcuffs, cleaning supplies, a big old jug of bleach, a machete, and a bulletproof vest. Also inside the car, the police found a list containing the names of an unspecified number of women. So, yeah, he was up to no good. The woman, by the way, she had to be hospitalized. She had numerous injuries, including a broken vertebrae, but the authorities ruled it a justifiable homicide, which I think is agreeable. Now, there is nothing hard linking him to the Chillicothe women, other than, being a serial killer at the time of their disappearances, and being only about 2 hours away, and having an interest in sex workers. It's possible. I mean, Neal Falls is connected to the disappearances or deaths of, 9 women across 3 separate states: Ohio, Illinois, and Nevada.
Her first name is Heather. She says 45-year-old Neal Falls from Springfield, Oregon tried killing her. She ended up killing him with his own gun. Investigators found a slew of weapons in his SUV, including knives, axes, a shovel, trash bags, bleach, and a bulletproof vest. Lieutenant Steve Cooper was the detective on the scene. He's with the Charleston, West Virginia police.
What comes to mind when you look at those items is that this is a serial killer kit.
Though Falls has been questioned or interviewed in at least 20 states, now Falls is being looked at in 9 murders and disappearances in 3 other states. He also lived in Las Vegas for 8 years, working at the Hoover Dam there, when 4 other escorts disappeared. 3 were found dismembered. Had Heather, that escort in West Virginia, not killed Falls, police worry what could have happened next.
I believe that Heather saved lives, and hopefully we'll be able to bring some closure to some other families too.
And also, since 1995 until his death, Neal Falls had been detained by police for violating traffic rules in 16. So he was well traveled. God knows, what else could be out there, what else he was up to, probably a lot. And God knows how many victims there could be out there. There is thought that maybe there could be possibly another serial killer related to what's going on in Chillicothe. One we talked about on this channel actually, Sean Great, who lived not too far away from Chillicothe. It's thought he may have many more victims out there, whether they are related to what happened in Chillicothe, we don't know. So that brings us back to Chillicothe. I mean, it could be a serial killer. Neal Falls, wouldn't bet money on it. But there could be an unknown killer out there. Unknown killers. But there is a known killer in Chillicothe. And that's drugs, people. We have a lot of fun on that chapter. But cool kids, they don't do drugs. Nah, I'm not going to do a preachy bullshit. But places like Chillicothe have been hit hard by the opioid crisis. In 1 week in October 2019, Ross County, the county Chillicothe is in, saw 9 overdoses and 5 suspected overdose deaths. In 2015, 42 people died of drug overdoses in Chillicothe. 44 people died in Chillicothe in 2016. Remember, this is a relatively small city, just over 20,000 people. The city is said to be on the 23 pipeline, which is a path for drugs coming from the Ohio River to Columbus and Detroit. So although there could be a serial killer in Chillicothe, or, maybe a killer minus the serial, there is one root cause for, these overdoses, deaths, suicides, disappearances, sex trafficking, and that's one thing. And it is something which is a major part of this case when investigating what's going on in Chillicothe. Maybe some people just wish there was a serial killer rather than a creeping drug problem which can infest any community, really, and leads to, well, nothing good. So that about wraps up this video, ending it on a pretty heavy note there. I usually try and end my videos on a lighter note, so let me think here. That Neal Falls guy, right? Hey, what a dickhead. Thank you so much for watching, I really do appreciate it. I will see you, as always, real soon in the next video. Take care of yourselves, Mike out.